First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on a TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you can never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Up Next. You found us at whatever podcast app you are using right now and at postwrestling.com. And it's Tuesday night, which means
we are live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, YouTube room. How are we doing?
Hello, all the postmarks out there. All the NXT friends. All the wrestling fans. Happy post WrestleMania weekend. We did it. We survived another year, another mania. Are you wrestled out yet, Davey?
Of course not, because we have NXT Revenge to talk about, and then Dynamite tomorrow, and then SmackDown on Friday, and then Raw on Monday, and then NXT again next Tuesday, and then Dynamite next Wednesday, and it just keeps going. It keeps going. It never stops. But yes, it is WrestleMania Fallout week, which of course means it's NXT Revenge week 2, as always. And we're here to talk about it.
NXT Revenge. Yes, they couldn't. They had to do one last. Is this the final? If it was in Vegas, this would be the last one. But I guess yesterday, the Raw after Mania being the last, like, that's it. It's over. And then even this is a little rehash, I guess, or maybe some goodbyes, maybe some pouring one out on an episode of NXT. That's what we do here at Up Next, because with WrestleMania comes Raw after Mania, and Raw after Mania comes NXT Call-ups. So we'll definitely talk about that, because maybe just as we're recording right now, maybe some NXT people are waving goodbye, taking their final bow in the Performance Center. So yeah, that's it's always a time. I feel bad when the NXT people don't get the graduation thing, you know, like there was
when they don't get to say their goodbyes.
Yeah, there's that period where they would just, like, all of a sudden it's just, you know,
it's fine, because once they fail on the main roster, they can always come back to just have random matches to try and get people over in NXT, as we've seen many a time. You never really leave NXT.
That is true. And we will never leave you. So how many days of wrestling you're still here standing, we are here for you. No matter if you're here live Tuesday in the Post Wrestling YouTube or listening a day after, a few days after, welcome. We're going to talk about NXT Revenge Week 2 and a whole lot more. We are Up Next. We are also known as Poisonrana Pod. Give us a follow in your podcast app, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or even Insta, whatever you use. We are definitely on it. Want to give a quick thanks to anyone who showed up at our WrestleMania watch party. We had such a fun time this weekend, hanging out with all the wrestling fans, all the people in the Toronto community that we've built up over the last few years. And it made me more hyped for it. Come the day, I was like, yes, a bar full of people, wrestling shirts, belts, all the stuff that comes with a big wrestling party. And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, we had a great time. We've pretty much only had good feedback so far from this event. We had an awesome time. Everyone there seemed to enjoy it. National has been a great venue for us. So thank you once again to the National, to the staff, to everyone that attended. All our friends that come. I know it's not just a two-man effort. Like Golden Graham, my roommate, he helps out a lot. Everyone that comes along. I know Reckless Rob wasn't there this time, but he's normally there helping us out with competitions and things. Our good friends at Pure Fandom, who were selling merchandise, who were helping us with the raffle as well. Shout out Big Tom and Steve. Like we had an awesome weekend, and we couldn't quite be there at Vegas. Our watch party maybe wasn't as luxury as some of the ones I saw in Vegas in swimming pools with huge screens and stuff. That looked fun. But we definitely had our own little mini Vegas at the Well in Toronto last weekend.
It was a little Vegas. Some people would go over, start playing the arcade games.
Yeah,
playing the Mario Kart. Some people were trying to get the bowling in there as well. It was a ton of fun. We did our huge WrestleMania review just yesterday. So if you do want to hear all of our thoughts on night 1, night 2, and a little bit of some WrestleMania week extra stuff as well, we dropped a whole review. Again, search Poisonrana podcast in your YouTube or Spotify, whatever you use, and go check out and listen to us talk about our exercise our demons of night 1 and the love of the main event of night 2. So hear all our thoughts on WrestleMania. The wrestling never stops. It feels like every weekend or every other weekend is a big wrestling event anyways. So maybe it didn't feel like WrestleMania, but every few weeks feels like there's the big event. Anyone who's got like a significant other, a partner, family members who you live with, I don't know, roommates, I'm sure that wrestling fans are like, wait, what's this weekend? Oh, it's the Dynasty. Oh, so that must be the big weekend for wrestling. Yeah. Okay, then what's this week? Oh, well, it's the WrestleMania. Oh, okay, so then what's the one in a few weeks? Well, that's the Backlash, actually. So it just never ends. We're wrestling fans, so we love it. Glutton for punishment, right? But
I found it funny because people always ask you, like, if they're non-wrestling people, they're like, oh, so what's the fight? Because like if it's boxing or whatever, it's like, oh, it's Mayweather tonight. It's a Mayweather fight. And sure, there's an undercard, but no one's talking about that. And it's funny because I saw at the box office at Dynasty when we went to collect our tickets, it said like they had a little like handwritten thing behind the desk, and it said like doors at, I mean, what time was Dynasty? Dynasty was 5. So it was like doors at 3, pre-show at 4, and then it said main fight 5. And I'm sure there were people at that venue working there that's like, oh, okay, so main event's 5 p.m. out of there at 6, and then realize it's a 4.5-hour show after that. But there's many main fights to happen.
The fights never. Yeah, imagine you thought 5 was, and then there was 5 hours of. Yeah, well, at least it was good. Yeah, at least the security guards maybe were like, oh, actually, this isn't so bad. I see we have a super chat, and super chats are welcome here on the Post Wrestling YouTube. Jake from the Windy City, who says, happy to be back home, gents. Great first time adventure. I'll probably consider heading up to the GTA to meet up and watch with you guys next year. Oh, I guess Jake is not going to make his way over for Saudi Mania, but Jake looked like he had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it looked like he had a great time in Vegas.
Posting a lot of photos. WrestleCon, it looked like spring breaks. Jake did the whole 9 yards of a WrestleMania weekend. So I'm sure he had a blast. So thank you, Jake, for the super chat. Appreciate as always. Yeah, how are you with you watched NXT tonight, Monday Night Raw? Some of the people we saw on tonight's show, maybe we won't be talking about on a few more episodes of NXT.
I will say, I mean, in years past when I have gone to Mania, the last couple I didn't stick around for the Raw after Mania. And there's something quite nice I found about, like, flying home and then just like chilling out and throwing on the Raw after Mania to watch at home. And even though we didn't go, I felt like that this year as well. We had a pretty hectic week with going to Dynasty the week before, and then putting all the prep into our event over the weekend and watching night 1 and 2 of Mania. And then just yesterday being able to chill and watch Raw on the couch was pretty nice. And a little bit of housekeeping, but you're not going to be with us this Sunday. We do a show on Sundays on our own network, Poisonrana, where we talk about the whole week's worth of wrestling, all the news, everything going on. So I won't be joining you this year, but I am going to be joined by Benno from GRAPPL, who's going to be with us. So he's going to be talking to me all about the fallout from WrestleMania, the Raw after Mania, the SmackDown after Mania, as well as tomorrow's Dynamite. So I believe we're going live at noon Eastern time this Sunday. So come and hang out, youtube.com/@PoisonRanaPod, or like and subscribe, Poison Rana, wherever you get your podcast. So we'll be running down Raw in depth. I know you didn't get a chance to fully see it, but you being an NXT guy, you did have a chance to see the call-ups that happened last night on Raw.
Yeah, I just didn't have a chance to see it. I'm not coming out strong from the weekend of WWE, so I can't say I wanted to relax by watching more wrestling on Monday, but I did check out some of the stuff involving the NXT people, especially including the King of the Hammer, Ethan Page, showing up on Monday Night Raw. He was my number one draft pick if I had to pick. I was saying that for a few weeks. I was like, he does not need NXT. NXT needs him. And I'm super pumped to see him show up on Monday Night Raw. And I'm kind of wondering, watching tonight's episode of NXT with some of the stuff that's going on with Ricky Saints, I also wonder if maybe there's a potential future call-up with him. And that's also something that we've been talking about for a few weeks of like, hey, what if they called them up together at the same time? I'm not quite sure, but like two dickhead heels would work really well. But Ethan Page on his own on the main roster, like as soon as people get their teeth sunk into him, I think he's going to be a really big star, especially when he starts cutting some promos. So I'm really excited. Like, this is a guy we've watched for years, not only on the independents, but especially here in Ontario, the indies here. And this guy is like, he deserves it more than many other people. So I'm super pumped to see Ethan Page get the bag, bro.
I mean, I feel it's been such a like money ball hire from WWE because wasn't doing a whole lot in AEW. He always impressed me in TNA back in the pandemic when I was writing reports for TNA. The North, Ethan Page, Josh Alexander, always impressed, and he always stood out with his promos, especially. But yeah, he's been invaluable, like, and has really been the glue for NXT these last couple of years. Yeah. Every position he's been put in, whether it's the main event, North American title, AAA, mixed tags, like all of that, he's been fantastic. And I think it's as you said, it's NXT needed him rather than he needed NXT. And there's only so long you can hold someone like that back. So I think having him come in, go over Javon was a great move. Put him in that IC title picture. Is a good idea. And I wouldn't move Ricky up quite yet, but maybe in a couple of months you can pair the two together and maybe, like a pay-per-view match, Ethan Page going for the Intercontinental title or whatever. Ricky can help him win that thing or something like that. But I'm super happy to see Ethan Page on the main roster. He's more than ready for it.
Oh yeah. Like, again, I think the promo was always his skill. And I just think of the last few years, even before his NXT run, I think even back to his AEW, like he took it upon himself to get in like incredible shape. You know, he seemed like he was taking this a whole lot seriously. And since then, like, yeah, he's been in NXT. He's been great doing the stuff, especially that last run, like this last year, especially of Ethan Page in NXT. He's just been on a main roster level, like leagues ahead of some people that are on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. So I kind of am excited to see where he can go. And again, I think once you have this like real heel character that we've been watching on NXT, but to a bigger audience and a bigger pool, I just think like, yeah, sky's the limit for this guy. And it will eventually lead to what WWE Breakdown at the Cops Coliseum in Hamilton. the new renovated Cops Coliseum in Hamilton will have to have a homecoming for Ethan Page, because I think that's a great pick. Like as soon as this guy gets off the ground running, I think he's going to be a big star for WWE. Who else was called up? Or maybe?
We also had announced that next week Joe Hendry will be doing a concert live on Raw. And you had, who was it? It was Corey Graves going, not Joe Hendry, I can't stand him. And Michael Cole going, well, get used to him because he's here on Raw for good. So, never being drafted elsewhere from now until the end of time, Joe Hendry is a Raw superstar. Little bit surprising because we've seen him make a couple of appearances on SmackDown and maybe it's just because he wears blue pants, but I thought SmackDown would be his destination. But yes, Joe Hendry coming to Raw.
He kind of looks like the SmackDown logo.
Right. You look at him and you're like, you got silver hair and blue trunks. Like, you look like SmackDown. But yes, going to Raw.
Like, his shirt is always blue. His pants are like white and it matches his blonde hair. So it kind of does look like I think he kind of signaled this last week, right? Was he was singing some songs or something and he was saying, hey, I'm going to the main roster.
Yeah, exactly.
Got cut off. So I feel like this was long overdue. Another one, I think, like, maybe since coming to WWE, he was really popular on, like, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. And I'm sure he still is. I just think that this character is like another WWE main roster thing that should work, just as long as the songs are better than what we were getting in NXT. That was my one gripe. Like, I never disliked Joe Hendry. I just thought that from what I've seen on the indies to compared to his NXT run, it felt very watered down. Now, I know that's pretty common when wrestlers come to WWE, but it just, even his songs were like, oh, you're not really saying a whole lot while singing. So maybe he steps that up.
I'm not quite as confident with Joe Hendry. Like, I'm trying to think of who the obvious first feud is on Raw, and
Miz.
Well, he's SmackDown. Like, that's the thing. Miz on SmackDown. Miz or Kit Wilson would be an obvious first opponent for him. But on Raw, I'm not quite sure. So, I mean, I'm sure we'll have someone interrupt him. And but off the top of my head, I can't quite see the longevity that maybe an Ethan Page would have. Because for me, just watching him in NXT alone, his act kind of wore a little thin on me and grew a little stale. I still think he's incredibly talented and can make it work. And I know that main roster are going to love sort of singing along with his songs and things. But he's someone I'm not as confident on the main roster, but we'll see how it goes.
I feel like he'll be fine. Like, okay, Ethan Page, we were kind of saying like, hey, the sky's the limit. Like, down the line, he could be maybe a pretty big deal, a future champion, et cetera, et cetera. But Joe, I don't necessarily see being like, a WrestleMania main eventer, but he could easily be a character that gets over on the main roster. Like, as long as the songs hit, I think that'll be fine. And then it'll eventually get to Joe and Danhausen and all that stuff. So yeah, I think he'll be fine. And
then we had, if her head's okay after the end of that match tonight, Sol Ruca made her debut on Raw last night, her official Raw debut. And yeah, this was pretty awesome. She came out and confronted Liv Morgan. They had an impromptu match. It was pretty good. And this crowd really woke up for Sol Ruca. And yeah, just from some wicked looking counters, like the counter out the Oblivion into that space flying tiger drop to the outside and all of that. She looked great, and the crowd really got into her. It kind of reminded me of when, like, Adrian Neville, Pac, made his main roster debut, and we've been watching him for ages, for years on NXT, but your main roster audience hadn't. And everyone's like, you hear them kind of, okay, who is this guy? And then he does those like quick backflips into the corner and then hits the red arrow. And everyone's like, wow, what was that? Seeing it for the first time. And you definitely heard that reaction with Sol Ruca yesterday. I thought it was a very good debut. And, having her go, she did out the win on Liv, on your champion. I thought was a great way to call her up. And yeah, I think her wrestling does the talking. If she can improve those promo skills as well, like, the sky's the limit for Sol Ruca.
Yeah, I feel like that's maybe the weak point of her game. Not to say she's necessarily one of the worst talkers, but I feel like the crazy spots and the high flying is definitely her forte. And I would say she's going to be a big deal. Like, with people seeing her for the first time doing the Soul Snatcher or whatever kind of crazy move she comes up with, I feel like instant hit with the WWE audience. Like, kind of like a bit of a breath of fresh air. When we were watching her in NXT, I think back to the Heat Wave. Was it Kalani and Soul, right? When we were there live, and like it felt like people were saying, like, oh, it's like the Ricochet Osprey comparison of like all these like crazy flippy stuff that maybe we haven't seen from a lot of women in the past in WWE. So I feel like when people start to see that for the first time, like a soul snatcher, it's like, oh, whoa, this girl's great. So like you said, Neville would hit the red arrow and people would be like, whoa. So it is interesting to see. I do find that I do think she will be a big star in WWE. So yeah, good pick for them. After, like you said, we will talk about her match tonight, which I'm assuming is her goodbye. And as you kind of alluded to, like, she takes a nasty bump live earlier tonight, and like hopefully that does not affect things going forward. Hope she's okay, because we're recording right after NXT ended, and it looked a little scary. I rewound it a few times, so I was like, damn, you're supposed to go to Raw the next few weeks. But yeah,
absolutely. Do you see any call-ups on SmackDown? We kind of spoke last week of JC seemingly saying her goodbyes at the end of NXT. Do you see JC showing up on SmackDown on Friday?
Yeah, I do see some other people. I think JC makes the most sense. She's been champ not once but twice for like what felt like a year. So like it's time to move on, and that story's over here in NXT. So why not have her on the main roster? And SmackDown, like, it's the SmackDown after Mania. Okay, there's a few days in between, but still, you can have a few different call-ups. JC comes to mind. I'm not sure who else. Like, I do see Ricky eventually leaving NXT in the near future, but I don't think it would be that early. But yeah, I'm not sure. I thought Joe for sure would be SmackDown because of the way they kept promoting him before. They had him on SmackDown before.
I feel like we'd do a draft at some point as well. So even if these people are landing on those shows at the moment, it's been a long time, I feel, since we last had a superstar shake-up, if you will. So I could see that coming sometime this summer, maybe before SummerSlam.
Yeah, that's. Is there anyone that you think other than JC?
Not really. I mean, I'd say it's more the women's roster are people I'd call up. I don't think you should be calling up any other men right now, just because it needs them. NXT needs them right now. Whereas, if I think both Jada and Kalani could be in that NXT women's title picture. But if you wanted to bypass that, like, both of them, I feel, are ready as well. You could call them up. Fallon Henley, you could call up. The men, I can't see quite as much of people you would be calling up, apart from Ricky Saints. But as we said, I feel NXT, I see him having at least one more cycle with Tony D'Angelo before he moves up.
Sure, like a pay-per-view or like a PLE main event to go for the title, sure. But do see by the end of this year, probably way before the end of this year, that he goes up. But let us know, who do you think should be called up from NXT graduation to the main roster? Is it a time for a shakeup for some new people? NXT is doing it. We're having vignettes and new people on TV like really quick, the turnover, and I like that. I've loved that since they started doing it. Hey, there's some guys or girls who actually wrestle in the mix here, and I've been enjoying that. So even on tonight, we'll talk about some vignettes of the new people kind of coming in. And then if you get into even more deeper of developmental, then there's Evolve and all the people coming from that. So yeah, there's a good motion of some next crop. And I mean, hey, look at Obafemi going over on Brock Lesnar, like instantly a star, should be champion by the end of this year. Like, great. Trick Williams, another NXT like success story, coming hot out the gate. Of just the character, the whatever it is working with the WWE audience. So hey, NXT is working.
We are Poison Rana. We do this show every week on the Post Wrestling Network. We do Up Next, but we also do our show, as we mentioned, every Sunday, talking about the world of pro wrestling. But we have a Patreon as well. You can go to Poisonrana.ca, and that links us to our Patreon, patreon.com/Poisonrana, where we do weekly bonus shows. In the past, we've been doing a series called The Champ Is Here, where we're going in detail over every single John Cena title reign. We recently did our WrestleMania 17 review, a really in-depth review. Went 3+ hours on this one to talk all about what some call the greatest WrestleMania of all time. We have a show called Best Match Ever, where we look at the greatest matches of people's careers. But we also go over to you and see what you want us to talk about. And we don't just stick to wrestling. We talk about movies and everything. You just recently did a Kung Fu movie with our friend Graham. We've done lots in the past. We've been doing Batman reviews, Bond reviews, the likes. And this week, we're going to be continuing our little retro series called Was Next, where we go back in time and we look at the golden era of NXT. And, well, we're up to July 17th, 2014, where we'll be talking about the Vaudevillains taking on Enzo and Cass, CJ Parker versus Xavier Woods, Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss, and in your main event, Sami Zayn versus Tyson Kidd. We're going to be recording that later this week, and that will be going on the Patreon. We've gone back right to the very first episode of Full Sail NXT, and it's an adventure we've been quite enjoying going on.
Yeah, we've done a lot of NXT. We've been going back through the beginning. So if you are an NXT fan, whether you've watched in the past or maybe there is some blind spots, stuff you haven't watched, this is a great companion piece of just NXT in general. So yes, we do have upNXT here every week for post wrestling, but every so once in a while we do a new episode of Was Next, where we go back and look at all the old NXT and see the stars of tomorrow. And most of the time we have great discussions on, star wrestlers that go on to become big stars, whether it's WWE or AEW. But sometimes we get to talk about people like Mojo Rawley and Bull Dempsey.
Yeah.
And some others. So it's a great
Chris Christopherson's kid.
Chris Christopherson's kid. Could never forget about him. How could we? Richie Steamboat. Never forget. We've covered it all. So if you're a true NXT fan, this is the podcast for you. But we have tons of other shows. Patreon.com/PoisonRana. I'm currently in a hotel in Sudbury, and I met up with Post Wrestling Zone Eric Marcotte today. We recorded a podcast in the behind a Sudbury Mall in a weird wooded area. That's where we recorded today.
Nice.
So you can hear Eric's thoughts on.
Is it cold there?
No, it's not. It's not cold at all. There's snow on the ground, but
right.
Did
you go to Woody's?
Everything is closed. It's a Tuesday, so NXT was my only thing to do tonight. Really. Okay. I had a nice bison burger today, actually.
Okay.
Chipotle bison burger. That was really
all
nice.
right.
I forget where Eric took me, but that was good. Get this. We went into I wanted to go to this vintage store. They sell video games and retro collectibles and stuff. And of course they had Spider-Man 3 playing on the TV. Of all the movies to play while
Eric set that up for you for sure.
I said, you planned this. You planned this, didn't you? Eric also gave his thoughts on WrestleMania weekend, and he watched a whole ton of stuff, including the deathmatch stuff, some lucha and everything. So had a nice, fun little chat with Eric, and I know he wants to make his way to visit us back in Toronto in the summertime. So we'll make that happen. But yeah, it was a nice little catch up. Shout out Eric, and shout out all our friends and family on the Poisonrana Patreon. But yes, I'm in Sudbury, and that the most exciting thing to do is go to Spencer's
nice.
Gifts. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, there you go. Check out our Patreon if you haven't already. I see some people in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Every week we do this, talking about some NXT, and let's do it. Let's talk about some NXT.
Let's do it. NXT from April 21st, 2026. And we're kicking things off right away with the North American Championship. Myles Borne defending against Dion Lennox. This happened last week when Dion Lennox wanted his title shot, and Myles Borne said, yes, you can have it, just don't attack me. And, well, Saquon Sugars wanted to attack him, but Lennox stopped that from happening. So we go to this match. We get a high spine buster from Dion as soon as the bell rings. Myles comes back with this power slam for a 2 count and then hits a huge tope con hilo, wiping out all of Dark State on the outside. We come back from commercial break as Dion Lennox is delivering a sidewalk slam onto the steel steps at ringside. We go back to the ring and Myles hits one of our favorite moves over here at upNXT. And Ushi Goroshi, the fireman's carry into the knee across the neck for a 2 count. Dark State then distract the referee. That gives Dion a bit of an advantage. And Dion delivers a superplex off the top, goes for the pin, but Myles grabs the arms, so Dion can't even cover him. A pretty cool little moment here. They go onto their knees. They start duking it out, trading right hands. and both get on their feet as they're still fighting, and Myles is just firing up. Both charge into each other with clotheslines, and then you see Saquon Sugars on the outside coming up with a plan with the rest of Dark State, and Saquon jumps up on the apron, distracting the ref. This allows Cutler to prevent Borne from hitting the Borne again, but Myles shoves Lennox into Saquon Sugars, knocking him off the apron, and hits Dion Lennox with the Borne again to retain the North American Championship. Oh, you're on mute.
Myles' gimmick is that he can outsmart multiple people in a stable, because that's like 2 weeks now where he's like, oh no, I guess Myles watches wrestling, because he's like, oh no, you're gonna go up on there and distract the ref, and then you're gonna go and do the other thing. So he kind of had it all planned out, I thought, because what was last week where he was like, no, I'm not gonna let you all attack me, because then I'm not gonna give you the shot. So this time around, he's even outsmarting them once again. So I like the little thing of that. He does have some good moves, like the Ushigoroshi, and that tope to all of them was pretty clean. Booker T on commentary giving his flowers out to Ethan Page, calling him the Can Man again. Do you think that nickname will stick on the main roster? Maybe not.
But why the Can Man?
Because
he can do it.
No, anyone can get these hands.
Okay. I don't know.
It doesn't better or worse than the GPS one.
GPS, I mean, you called me the Game Shark, so like GPS, I don't mind. The Can Man,
because he puts the let me dissect here. So the Can Man is because anyone can get these hands, which is like, okay. Ethan Page, not necessarily known for his boxing or hand delivering, I guess, but still, okay. The GPS is because you put the coordinates in and he'll get you there, right? Isn't that what he says?
Yes.
I called you.
Yeah, so Sean Spears is the GPS because he's like guiding people to get to the title, right? Like that one kind of makes sense.
He'll get you there.
Yeah.
And then I called you the Game Shark because you were a Brit living in Canada, and therefore any girl that comes up to you goes, "Oh, where's that accent from? You British?" Game Shark. You're playing with the Game Shark.
Yeah, I think the Game Shark's a bit dusty and glitchy these days. Yeah. Might give it a little blow to steady.
Right. Well, there you go. I'll keep up my nicknames aren't as good as Booker T's, but this was a fine match. Like Myles is someone who's a really good wrestler, and you know what, Dion has definitely stepped up too. But both I find like are not the most like interesting characters right now. Like I want to really get into Myles, but something about it is like still not clicking. And the whole thing was like he's got this edge to win the belt, but ever since coming back, he's just kind of nice guy Myles again. So I'm like, I don't know.
I'm seeing improvement, but there's still like I'm liking his fire he's bringing to these matches. Like we've seen that in the last few matches, sort of in that final quarter where he kind of does his Hulk up moment, and it does get a reaction. The crowd like him. We need to see what's next now, I think, and he's getting there. He's shown improvement, and I think the same with Lennox. I might actually be a positive about Dark State tonight because I kind of actually like what they're doing with him and Sugars. I think it's more interesting than anything this group's done so far. And I'm hoping that is the feud that might bring a bit more out of Dion, because I think he's had good delivery. Just the content he's been given is pretty poor. I mean, he's incredibly athletic. He throws a nice spine buster and suplex. Like he's definitely got stuff going for him. This Dark State thing just hasn't worked, and I think it's been holding him back. So I like that it looks like there's going to be some shattering of Dark State coming up soon, and maybe some other feuds coming out of it, and hopefully that's where we'll see Dion break out. But I thought this was a fine match, but I'm with you. I think both guys I'm looking at, I see potential, but I'm just like, there's something not quite there with both of you right now.
Yeah, at this moment, and that's what this show is about. Like they're gonna hopefully find it. Like Dion, remember his gimmick was he was a bookworm, and then he's in this group, and then like using this group to launch to hopefully something even better too. So yeah, I just maybe want some more interesting a reason to like get into these guys, because I do think both are like, especially Myles. I think he's an exceptional wrestler. It's just maybe the character is not necessarily there, but.
So we then go backstage where we see Blake Monroe, who's staring at her fake North American title. and she just is looking at it going, it just feels correct. We see Vanity Project who are sat there, who are saying, you've got this tonight, Blake. You're going to put Tatum to rest. And then Jackson Drake is swiping on his phone where he gets a match. He shows the boys his match, and they're all excited, and he's arranging a date. And they go, whoa, whoa, whoa. But Blake has a match tonight. We've got to be there for Blake. And Monroe sends them on their way. She goes, boys, I've got this. You go and stay safe and have some fun. So the boys say, if you need anything tonight, text us. We're just going to the bar across the street. So this leaves Blake Monroe all on her own for a match against Tatum Paxley later tonight.
I like how she's like, hey, be safe.
Stay safe out there.
Wear your socks, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to necessarily, dox the WWE Performance Center, but I have been to the what was the place they did it before? Full Sail Universities. And there was not really much around that university except like a McDonald's or whatever. But I'm looking. When was the last time we went to the bar in NXT? Remember we kept going.
Big Daddies?
Big Daddies. Was that what it was called with Gallus and then whoever else gimmicks were drinking? Okay, so that's nowhere near this performance center. However, there is Tano's Bakery and Deli across the street. And also the Blue Amphora. Both are not bars, but maybe they meant like a few doors down the street. But I thought this was pretty funny of like, hey, we really want to help you in your match, but we just swiped right with what did he call it? A baddie.
A baddie, that's right.
And then she's like, you know what? I grant you this. You guys, I like the heel relationship between Blake and Vanity Project. And maybe I just watched this show too much because I watch it every week. Instantly, I had a feeling that this was where it was going to go, where it goes, where I'm like, wait a second, who would want you guys to not be here? Right? Right? Wrestling.
I wish there was a spot in the match later where Blake does go on her phone to call a Vanity Project to come back.
I do need your help, actually.
Or just having a text on like speed dial sort of thing, like trying to get them out there or something. But I like this. I like this little setup here.
Like it could have cut to the bar and then they're like, oh shit, we gotta go. I like that. Like there is some, I don't know, realism there of like, hey, sorry, I just matched with this girl and she wants to meet up. Like, is it cool if I dip? And she's like, yeah. Be safe, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, why did the other two have to go with him?
Yeah, they didn't need to go.
Hey, can you come and watch my date?
Yeah, I don't understand that part. That's definitely weird.
It's right. These Gen Zs, I just don't get. Like, it might be a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they were filming his date later, which is really weird. I think they might need consent for that. But anyway.
Yeah, I think there's like you can't just be filming people in public when they're right. Wasn't that the whole thing coming out of Vegas this weekend?
Oh, right. Yeah, shouldn't be filming people. Right. Yeah, that all sounds terrible. By the way, like here I was joking. Like I don't want to dox the performance center. The address is out there already, but all this stuff of like the fans harassing wrestlers, whether it's touching, whether it's getting too close, not giving them personal space, annoying people, it's all got to stop. Booker T mentioning the stuff in the washroom.
Yeah,
insane, crazy stuff. Wrestling fans are just stinky losers who keep following wrestlers around. I feel really bad, like especially because Vegas it sounded like they were all in one hotel and everyone figured it out, and then they all
just no security hired or whatever.
It sounds awful. I definitely feel that CM Punk thing really pissed me off, and not him. He is in the right, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Not smacking that guy's phone. You should have smacked him in the fucking face.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous. But yeah, don't personal space, people. Personal space, but that doesn't include Vanity Project. They don't believe in that, I guess. With their date later. But
yes, we see Saquon Sugar's backstage, who approaches Robert Stone, and he's asking for Dark State to have another chance. This is where we see Tatum, who is with Shiloh Hill, and says that she saw him in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on SmackDown. Goes, oh yeah, It was a lot of fun. I just kept telling people that I was in it until I was eventually put in it. And Shiloh says that he's found out that he's got a match with Ricky Saints next week, and he wishes Tatum good luck in the casket match tonight.
You know what? I like this pairing of Tatum and Shiloh. I think, okay, Tatum has definitely had a really strong year, and like the character change from being, okay, she still uses the dollhouse once in a while, but she's definitely finding her character a bit lately, right? With this North American title run. And then having Shiloh and her does bring a nice pairing together. Like, they might not be my two favorite characters not together, but when they are on screen together, I get that whole, we've been saying, the Crowbar and Daphne vibes.
Yeah.
And now even Crowbar has said, hey, this is awesome. And I know Daphne would have loved this. So you know what? I like the pairing of Shiloh and Tatum, the weirdos, the freaks in the high school of NXT Degrassi. So they're growing on me. The Shiloh Hill stuff is growing on me.
I think I think Tatum, like, Shiloh is this weirdo who's into all this creepy stuff, but I think the idea is deep down this guy's got a heart of gold, right? He just likes this weird stuff. And I think Tatum allows you as the audience to see that in him and realize that this is a good guy, rather than this just being a creep who's hanging out backstage. You know, right. I think they both bring out something in each other, and I think it's really working.
I agree.
We go to our next match. It's Joe Hendry taking on Keanu Carver in what is most likely Joe Hendry's last NXT match. And Hendry comes out. He's not smiling. He's super serious for this one. And he goes in right away with some stiff chops to Keanu. He's really trying to like stick and move against the big guy here. Keanu goes for a power slam, which Hendry escapes and delivers a chop block. However, Carver then takes over. He starts launching Hendry into each corner. He applies like a torture rack, a torture bomb on his shoulder. And then Hendry manages to take Carver to the floor as we go to commercial break. After the break, we see Carver dominating Hendry with German suplexes and backbreakers. And then Carver charges into the corner with his shoulder, but Hendry moves, so he eats the turnbuckle. We get a discus clothesline from Hendry, a fall-away slam, and he does the pose, but turns right into a big clothesline, followed by a spine buster. Didn't get all of it. And then Carver starts delivering these Ilya Dragunov-esque forearms, and it's a referee stoppage. He's just driving down on Hendry's face until the ref stops it, and he continues after the bell. So it's a TKO for Carver.
Yeah. I like this finish. Very TKO, very UFC here, where he's just like on top of him, pummeling him, and the ref is like, "Nah, this guy's done. The match is over." I thought it was a finish I didn't necessarily see coming, because lately this guy's just been doing power slams, right? So I thought that was a pretty cool finish. I thought those Germans were pretty crazy too, actually, that he was hitting on Joe. I like this Keanu Carver. Like, he is big and scary. I know he's still new here, but so far, like, I've been impressed with how scary and big and menacing that he can be. So unfortunately for Joe, you know, I figured he'd actually really would be smiling in his entrance, considering he's going to be on Raw next week. He's probably in a really good mood actually this week, but I get it for this storyline. But I think this is it for Joe. Like, I feel like
I think so.
Write him off and send him off to Raw.
Yeah, and this is what Carver, this is his big thing. I sent Joe Hendry out of NXT.
Yeah, he could easily do that, but so far I'm liking this guy. He's one of the newer characters that I'm like really getting into, and his gimmick is his name's Carver, and his gimmick is he's carving people up. So yeah, all right.
I like what they're doing with him. There's still a lot of greenness with him, like that spine buster I thought looked pretty rough, and I think he should talk to Ilya about how to deliver those forearms. I like the idea of it. I love that kind of referee stoppage thing, but Ilya Dragunov is like a third of the size of this guy and makes those look way more devastating. Yeah. So just like how to do it properly to make it look like you're actually killing the guy. But I like the idea of it and thought this was a good thing to put over Carver with. We get a NXT spotlight for brand new NXT superstar Mick Jagger, who is starting. Wait, no. Lizzie Rain, who debuts next week. There's some 80s hair metal playing as we're seeing like amps being turned up to 11. And she said, they said I was too loud, too gritty, too unapologetic, but will never apologize for who I am. And that is Lizzie Rain and heavy metal, baby. NXT debut next week. You'll find out that Lizzie Rain and heavy metal will never, ever, ever die.
An 80s heavy metal rocker gimmick, doing her best Chris Jericho impression, I think, too. I was in with this gimmick. I have heard of her beforehand. I'm blanking on what her name was. It wasn't Rain something. Rain Leverkusen.
Rain Leverkusen.
Yeah, but I've been watching her since she is been like they've been posting like some of the new recruits and stuff, and I'm like, okay, who is this girl who acts like this vignette, right? Even her social media is pretty loud and rock star gimmick, and then I hear the British accent, and I'm like, yeah, all right, okay, I'm kind of into this.
She's definitely gonna come out doing this next week, isn't she?
Yeah. Like, this is like such a gimmick that's like been copy pasted in wrestling. I think Chris Jericho, any Van Hammer. Like there's so many wrestlers that would do this gimmick, but at the same time, I think she can turn it and make it into her own. I used to watch a lot of women of wrestling, and there was the Heavy Metal Sisters as well. It's like the same universe, but I'm for it. I want the finisher to all her moves are going to be named after songs or albums, and book it. Yeah, I'm kind of in.
It's an easy gimmick to tone down. Do you know what I mean? Like it's an easy gimmick to get noticed right away. And then just gradually tune it down a bit as your own personality comes through. And you can always still, I mean, Jericho, as you said, like Jericho still has the rock vibe about him, but he's not necessarily doing a rock tribute act every time he comes out. So yeah, I'm interested. I've never seen anything from this girl before, but I'm curious. See another one join the women's roster.
Also, I just referenced Van Hammer, WCW, and he actually passed away the other day. So pour one out.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Van Hammer. Great timing to have another character show up like this to keep it going. But yeah, rest in peace. I'm so far. I'm in on first impressions don't always matter or mean things, but I'm so far like, okay, you're doing a rock and roll gimmick and you're using the over the top British accent. Yeah. I think I'm a fan so far. So let's see.
We go to our next match, and it's the final of the NXT Speed Championship Tournament. Lexis King taking on EK Prosper. Yeah. And as it's a final, as it's for the championship, it is 5 whole minutes.
What?
Yes. We get a diving, like sunset flip backslide from Prosper as soon as the bell goes, delivered by some chops. We get big drop kicks from Prosper and a slingshot guillotine leg drop with 1 minute gone. Prosper then goes for a big dive, but Lexis King pulls Ariana Grace in front of him, so Prosper stops short. Uriah Connors then gets on the apron, which allows Lexis King to take over with a double stomp to the chest. 2 minutes gone. We get a chop exchange, and King goes to the coronation, but it gets blocked. We get a suplex into the corner by EK, and then climbs up to the top, but Lexis knocks him off. Prosper then knocks King to the floor and hits a big moonsault, taking out everyone in the Birthright. He rolls King into the ring, but Grace stops him and slaps Prosper across the face. Prosper follows up by delivering a super kick to Connors, a super kick to Stacks, slides into the ring, but eats a super kick from King, followed by the coronation. And with 30 seconds left on the clock, Lexis King pins EK Prosper and is your new Speed champion.
He celebrated like he just won the WWE World Championship. And you know what? Dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Because him and Stacks were losing their minds that he finally won gold here. So all the power to Lexis King. Good for you. This makes more sense giving him this belt, right? Like,
it's a silly mid-card,
it's a silly mid-card, if that, title and with the silly stipulation that like it makes sense for the bad guy to have it and have his cronies and everything. And then eventually EK, who he just really wants that speed title, will eventually get it from him. But you know, this guy EK Prosper, every time he wrestles, he's doing stuff that we've not seen. He started the match with this float over, and then in midair, like float over meaning he jumps over Lexis King, and then in midair manages to somehow turn around and backslide pin Lexis King. Yeah. And it's a little thing like that it was so fast that I rewound it like 3 times. Like, what? How did you do that? And that's how the match started. That I'm like, this guy is so creative and fast with some of his maneuvers. So yeah, I know he didn't win, but again, I thought he was the high. He did everything, and then Lexis just picked up the win, which is usually how Lexis King matches go. But yeah, another little ace up the sleeve with this EK Prosper guy, because every time he wrestles, it's like, whoa, it's pretty flashy.
Yeah, I quite like this. I think Prosper's really done well since coming in, and this say what you will about the speed division, but it's done a great job of showcasing him so far. And I think it makes sense Lexis holding this for something to chase. And why not give Stax and Uriah the tag titles as well? I can't even think who the champions are right now. Who are the champions right now? Oh, right. Okay. Maybe you won't go straight there then, but yes.
If they didn't leave them at the bar.
Oh, talking of call-ups, Hank and Tank. Why not? Put them on SmackDown.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I guess.
Like, what else do they have to do on NXT, really, at this point?
I feel like, why not?
What is the tag division doing? It's, what is it? MFTs, White Six, or whatever. Like, it's just been that. So why not put Hank and Tank up there?
Yeah, I like that idea.
We go to the bar. Let's just say we're at Big Daddy's here.
Yeah, for NXT lore, I think we're at Big Daddy's, but I think it was a different bar, but it's okay.
Okay.
Something different here. They actually let people in the background talk.
What?
Did you ever notice when you watch, like, if you ever watch like General Hospital or any of these shows like sitcoms or wherever, where it's at a meeting and you see people, you see actors, background actors, but they're never ever talking because it's just like a sound. Here, they were actually having conversations.
Do you know what it's called when you're doing that?
No, what is it?
Rhubarbing.
Rhubarbing?
Because you're told to say rhubarb. So rhubarb. It looks like you're talking. Like the word rhubarb looks like it could be anything in a conversation. Rhubarb. So a lot of the time people are just saying rhubarb. But yeah, Jackson Drake is rhubarbing to no one because his date hasn't shown up. And we've got Baylor and Smokes doing what every best friend does, and that's sit one table away filming your entire date, live streaming it. And
imagine I did that for you. Imagine I was like, yo, you got this date with this baddie. I'm gonna have to film this and stream it live for the Patreon. It's like, geez. Yeah, actually, you know, people do this.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
the whole, what's that new Louis Theroux doc?
The Manosphere.
There's a whole thing about people who do this kind of stuff, but still, I in my head, like Vanity Project are like the young kids of NXT, so they're gonna do stupid shit like this, I guess.
So Drake says, "I don't know who she thinks she is. No showing Dr. Thirst like this," but says, "You know what? Everyone takes their L's. Even LeBron took some L's in the day. So let's bounce. Let's get out of here." When Micah Lockwood from LFG, who's a rather large, muscly girl, bigger than Drake, stands up behind him and says, "Did I hear you were stood up?" And Jackson Drake's eyes go wide and the boys just go, "Bro." So I was kind of concerned with how we were going to talk about this segment, but Jackson Drake becomes such a babyface in the next part. So do we save our thoughts till the second part, or?
Yeah, I guess we wait till we get to the second part, because it definitely, like, these guys are the biggest dicks on this show next to Ethan and Ricky, and then you assume this is going in a direction that would maybe follow suit with their character, but it doesn't. But yeah, I did Jackson Drake's got to be my like Vanity Project. definitely been saving
Love
NXT
them.
for me.
They're
love
fantastic.
these guys. I love these kids so much, and especially Jackson Drake. Like, this guy should be a big deal.
Oh, he's
like
a star.
Wrestling
Absolutely.
is all like the wrestling. He came in and showed off his wrestling. I was like, this guy's great. And now he's doing shit like this. He's referencing LeBron. Those jokes are so funny. So yeah, I'm interested to see where we go at the bar, but we'll visit back at Big Daddy's a little later.
We go to our casket match for the North American Championship. But before that, we get a little segment backstage with Dark State, where Saquon is apologizing to Dion, saying, look, I was just trying to help in the match. And Dion's all pissed. And Saquon says, well, look, I did help because I got us that rematch. And Lennox is like, oh, man, thank you so much. I know I'll beat him next time. Sugars goes, well, Stone said it has to be me. And Dion is like, what do you mean? It's my rematch. What are you talking about? And Sugars reminds Dion of what he said last week. And that's, hey, as long as we get gold back in the family by any means necessary, right? So next week, I'm bringing gold home.
Nice. Yeah.
I like this. I think this is the most interesting thing Dark State's done. I kind of like this little interplay of, are we all for one? Are we out for ourselves? Do we have leaders in this group? And I don't think Sugars will win the title next week, but I kind of think it will be more interesting if he does.
It would be so much more interesting. Again, I hate for Myles because like the whole thing has been him getting this title, but his character isn't interesting, and neither has been Dark State. But now teasing that Sugars is like, well, actually, I want the title. So yeah, I think this is a better move for this group. A classic NXT move of, hey, let's just have, I guess not even NXT, just WWE. Like the group is always in turmoil.
Yeah.
No matter what, even though they won't break up for like 2 years.
I liked how he put it on Stone, though. It's like, oh no, Stone said it has to be me in this rematch, where you kind of get the thought that, maybe not. So we go to our next match. Tatum Paxley defending the Women's North American title in a casket match against Blake Monroe. And yeah, we've got the Shiloh Hill made casket with a bouquet of very deadly flowers on top of this.
Did Shiloh Hill get his measurements wrong? He looked at Blake Monroe and made this casket for Yokozuna. Essentially.
I mean, it's always better to be too big than too small, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's wrestling, so we need a spot where both of them can fit in it at once, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But hey, as far as casket making goes, looks good.
I mean, maybe it's just a casket for Tatum for all of her opponents in casket matches, because I mean, Paxley is the only woman to have a casket match in.
Okay,
right?
They said Paxley was in the casket match in 2024. Gun to your head, tell me who was in that match.
I'm gonna guess Wendy Chu.
I think so too. That's who came to my mind. Like, spooky Wendy Chu, right?
New Evolve champion, right? Wendy Chu.
Right. Yes. Congrats. Yeah, she's not so spooky anymore.
Okay. Is she sleepy again?
Maybe. I'm not sure, but yeah. Well, I mean, what a perfect character, the sleepy girl to sleep in a casket to go to sleep. But yeah.
Did we actually ever see her again after that casket match? Was that her write-off?
Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. She's had a few gimmicks. Remember, then she was like the doll thing that was Tatum. That's when they beefed, I guess. But anyways, yeah. You know, it's cool that we get this casket match. I like the fact that like this is Tatum's match now, like going forward. Like they kind of said that, like, hey, this is her match.
Didn't they say this is the first casket match for a title since 1998? I think.
Well, there's been like some random ones, right?
They're always grudge matches rather than title matches, right?
Yeah, but wasn't there like a weird like Rusev one with Undertaker? Am I crazy?
Yeah, Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia.
Oddly enough, the weird like vintage store we went to, they had that on DVD, which I didn't know they made DVDs up to.
I thought the DVD stopped by then, but
they have now. Yeah. But yeah, shout out caskets and shout out. You know, you can buy caskets in American Costco's.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where Shiloh got it. But anyways,
Tatum sends Monroe into the casket early, but Monroe escapes quickly. Tatum then attacks Monroe with the bouquet of flowers, and Vic lets us know, hey, It's no DQ because it's a casket match, so everything's a weapon. As she's hitting her with flowers. Tatum then pulls the dollhouse out from under the ring, goes to Irish whip Monroe into it, but Monroe stops herself short. Monroe then rakes Tatum's eyes and drop kicks her into the dollhouse herself. We come back from the break and Tatum is now teetering on the apron. She manages to get back in the ring, hits an enziguri to Monroe, and then a German suplex followed by the flipping leg drop to the back of the neck. Blake is now in the casket, but smacks Tatum with a red velvet bag full of something. We get a headbutt from Monroe, a knee strike from Tatum, and both fall into the casket, and the lid slams shut. The referees are waving it off. No, it still has to go on. You have to put your opponent in the casket to win. The casket opens, and they both start laughing at each other like it's Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. They're laughing at each other. Monroe goes for the glamour shot DDT on top of the casket, but it gets countered with a Spanish fly onto the floor, which sounded so painful.
Yeah, the thud it made. Like, think that isn't a whole. Okay, she's doing it off of this casket, which has some height off the ground, like the ring, maybe.
It's basically the apron size, isn't it?
Yeah. And so imagine like in a Spanish fly off the apron. That's not a lot of room to do that move, but because they're smaller, they went flying, and you just heard this like boom, this thud when she's landed on. Oh man, it sounded like it really hurt.
Yeah. Blake then grabs a fire extinguisher and sprays Tatum in the face and delivers the glamour shot DDT, rolls Tatum into the casket, slams it shut. But Tatum uses the fake North American title to stop the casket from fully being closed. Monroe sees this, and we start a tug of war with the belt. And she drags Tatum by the belt into the ring and then reveals in the red velvet bag, it's full of diamonds. She scatters the diamonds over the ring, goes for the DDT, but it gets blocked. And Tatum delivers Cemetery Drive onto the diamonds, hits the rolling capo kick, which sends Blake into the casket, and the door slams shut. And Tatum has put away the woman from hell and is still your North American champion.
I love that Liger kick that she does, right? The capo thing, the rolling thing, like she makes it her own, but I always think of Liger I always give it to my creator wrestler in the video games. But this was good. This was way better than their last match. I thought the casket stipulation makes it a bit more exciting, but they had some good spots. Like you mentioned, the one where she closed it on her, but it was her belt that she used to stop it. I thought that was a good bit. And mentioned that Spanish fly was pretty hardcore. I like when Tatum, like, okay, I've mentioned in the past, I don't like a lot of the whole like dollhouse type stuff. But when you're using it in a match like this, when it's a weapon, then yeah, it makes sense. And it's like Tatum's almost like Mick Foley, where he would always get the weapons out because he's going to get countered and he's the one who's going to get like them used on him. And that's exactly how it is with Tatum in this elaborate dollhouse. But yeah, I thought this was a step up from what we've seen, especially from Blake in NXT. And going forward, like she's someone who doesn't stay in NXT much longer. Like, I don't know. I haven't loved her in NXT, but I don't know if maybe that's just maybe the better move to just have her go up and see what she can do up there. But I thought this was pretty good. But definitely the best of the series with these two.
Yeah, it's weird because I've never really liked the casket match, but AEW have managed to make the coffin match exciting. And obviously there's like things that AEW can do that you can't get away with in NXT and WWE. But I think one of the things is the casket match, it's same with an ambulance match. They play too much with the gimmick and it's kind of boring. Watching someone trying to close a door and the other person holding the door. Whereas I think for the most part, this was playing more, I'm going to incapacitate you until I can put you in there and close it. So I didn't think they overdid the door slamming of the casket too much, which often gets in the way of it. And I just thought they had a pretty good match, which happened to involve a casket. So I had fun with this one. I did think it was a step up from the last one for sure.
I think this was my match of the show.
Okay.
was this one, I think, with these two. Like, I definitely see like Blake again, very rocky start here in WWE with this NXT run, but I still think like she could pull through. Like eventually, like she gonna figure it out. I would say she was trying to do the woman from hell thing. She was wearing like she looked like Baron Corbin when he's like a server, but it looked like that. But I love they both were wearing like the black veils, right? Like for the casket match. So I don't know. I thought this was definitely a step up from last time. And I'm liking Tatum's evolution in NXT. She could be a big star on the main roster eventually too. But yeah. Does Blake leave NXT, or does she put herself maybe into like NXT Women's Championship kind of contention?
I think she should stick around because I'm still not sold on her, and I think therefore I think there's still some developing to do. I don't think she's fully found herself yet. I think she works in segments like with the Vanity Project backstage and stuff like that, but maybe she needs like a JC Jane run, and maybe that is just make her the champion and have a bit of a run with the title where, because we've seen she can wrestle, and I think maybe she's been in too many gimmicky feuds so far that's got in the way. So maybe
then,
just
okay. Her times when she shines is the gimmick matches. So
it is, but well, she needs to get better at the other stuff then.
Yeah,
like she can't if she's moving to the main roster, she can't just have gimmick matches every week, can she?
Right.
We see Lola Vice comes out, your new NXT Women's Champion, and she's celebrating, and she says, "Hola, NXT." I love Lola. Hola, NXT. Last week, I didn't just beat JC Jane. I made a statement. I showed you exactly the kind of champion I'm going to be. And JC elevated the NXT women's division. She reinvented herself as a WWE superstar. But the hardest part of being a champion isn't winning it, but keeping it. And I see that. And I feel that. And this locker room is deep. And last week, they showed me they ain't waiting. We had Kendall Gray, Izzy Dane, Callie Armstrong. They all came out. And those women aren't just competition. They're threats. And they all want my championship. Pero, I like it. And I get why. And holding this championship means I'm a possible WrestleMania main eventer one day. This is the most important championship to hold to prove you should be a big deal in NXT. And I'm ready for women to step up and take that shot. I was that girl, and I still am that girl. And you don't just walk in a Vice City and step up against a champion. You're stepping up for a fight, and you can take your shot. But all that will happen is you're knocked out and danced on. And that's when Izzy Dame comes out, and she's wearing these big furry red boots.
Those are like boots that went up all the way to her like knees.
Like Seth Rollins-esque, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they like connected very like, I don't know, Austin Powers or something vibes from this. But.
And Izzy says, you're talking like you've cleared the division with one defense, but you called me a threat. And, well, have you started to feel the shift yet? The looks are sharper and the whispers are louder. And every time you step in the ring, you have to prove something. And while you're swinging at everything that moves, I'm watching and learning and waiting for you to make a mistake. She says Lola is a champion who isn't going to lose at the big moments, but the small moments. And she's going to rip her apart. And when it's all over, she will be NXT Women's Champion. And you won't curse my name, but thank me for it. Lola laughs this off, and she says, you say you're waiting? Well, that sounds like a hesitation. Take your time, and by the time you think it's your moment, you will already have had your ass kicked. And then Izzy Dame says she's always 2 steps ahead, and that's where Spears and Nico are in the ring. Nico pulls the AAA mixed title from the waist of Lola, and with the distraction, Izzy boots her in the face and poses with the title.
So I'm assuming this is our next defense for Lola here with Izzy.
Is it though? Because Izzy said, I'm going to wait for everyone else to have a match and I'm going to watch and wait. So I don't know.
You know, I'm really, this was weird because I like how Lola, who has said like English, definitely not her first language. And here she is coming out and cutting a complete promo in English and finally having the championship. It feels like her character is coming full circle. Like, she has worked her ass off to get here. I really loved, was it last week or whenever she said, like, no, don't no longer call me the ex MMA person. Like, I am a WWE superstar. And I feel like that was really important. And I feel she's definitely hitting her stride. And then Izzy comes out and it just slows it all down. And it just sounds as if she's like reading, going line for line. And I just find it really, really boring. And then on top of that, to add to the boring is Sean Spears and then this big Nico dude. And got to be some of my least favorite characters right now. And Izzy has improved. I just thought that like this was pretty weak. It just sounded like she was reading. It sounded like I don't like her promo style, and I'm not a huge big fan of her wrestling either. So I don't know. I wasn't too excited or looking forward to this next matchup. But it's a a TV match, I'm sure, when it happens.
Yeah, I don't mind Izzy, but she doesn't particularly excite me too much.
No.
So yeah, I got it was weird because they do the angle which makes you think, okay, this is the next match. But then the whole promo was, I am not going for this title right away. I don't know what direction they're going in. Maybe we'll get some sort of multi-person match because we only got Kendall's video this week and we didn't see Callie Armstrong this week. We see that, well, that's where we get our NXT, what is it this week? A Chronicle? Yes, NXT Chronicle for Kendall Gray. This part 2, following on from last week. She talks all about her amateur wrestling background and that she grew up in Vegas and that Vegas is the fight capital of the world. And other people might see it as the bright lights, but she sees it as a place for fighting. And in high school, she even competed against the guys. She grew up with an older brother and they'd always be fighting in the backyard. And they'd fight until someone quits. And she calls herself a tomboy. She said, my mum didn't dress up or wear much makeup, and I bonded with my father through sports. And she talks about when she was at a Mets game and got hit in the face by a foul ball. Bro, of course that would happen to me. She talks about that moment that every kid goes through in their life where a dog bites your lip off. I was like, what? Yeah, a dog bit her lip off. Yeah.
Oh, dog, right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad that you said bro, because I think that was the one thing that took me out of this.
Bro.
Like, I love Kendall Gray. I think she's great.
I think she's fantastic. Yeah.
She's the future of WWE, especially the women. Like she's gonna crush. Don't get me wrong. We love her here. I just felt like it was a little like, remember what I said weeks ago with the cake? Like, it just feels extremely forced. Because then weeks later, they're like, oh, look, you're also very funny. And then it shows her with the cake. Like, It was like that with this. You didn't need to go, bro. It doesn't sound like she talks like that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. I still love Kendall Gray, but I like last week's better. Although when she mentioned the dog ripping her lips off, I was like, excuse me, what did you just say? But
you see the gnarly scar she had from that. She talks about a dude splitting her forehead open. But she obsesses with the physical part of wrestling, and she's obsessed with getting her hand raised. She still is, and she won't stop until she's NXT Women's Champion.
Yeah. Other than the bros and stuff, like she's definitely getting more confident when it comes to the talking and stuff too. Obviously, this was an edited video, but I did laugh at the bro and the dude and all that stuff.
Yeah, but this is exactly what she should be doing. Like, her wrestling is so good, and like if she is the future, like she needs to be a complete all-rounder, and these things
absolutely
help.
Yeah, I feel like more of this stuff and more talking is where it's what her one weakness is, and it's not like necessarily awful or bad. It's just I feel like there is maybe some improvement, and that's definitely. I think she'll be main roster bound within a year, either way, right? Like she should be definitely hot-shotted, even here in NXT. You did skip over.
I did, Lexis.
Yeah. We went back to the bar.
So, have I skipped a lot? Because we've got okay,
we went back to Drake's date.
We did. Date. I think I've lost my notes on that, but we go back to the I'll do this. Have you got the notes here? He's getting along with Micah.
So it goes back to this bar that we may or may not confirm is Big Daddy's. It doesn't look like it is. And Jackson Drake's hitting it off with was it Micah?
Yes, Micah Hardwood.
Micah is there, and she's discussing how she used to be a mortician's assistant, and that she would, and he's like, what? That means you were dissecting corpses? And she's like, oh yeah, these hands have seen some stuff. And then Jackson Drake goes, wow, that's hot. So Jackson Drake, a lot like Shiloh Hill, more than he knows, because he loves the fact that she was cutting up dead people.
I found my notes here. She then reveals, he shows her who his date was going to be, and she's like, come on, man, that's just an AI bot, and realizes that it was Shiloh who set him up with this fake baddie. And Micah says, well, don't get yourself too down. We can go for dinner, and your cute boys can come too.
Wow. She's taking on the whole squad. No, she's gonna date all of these guys, or just Jackson Drake, and they're gonna film the date. I don't know what's going on with the friends there, but
this reminded me of the In-Betweeners, right? Like, this felt like Jackson Drake was your kind of maybe Jay, who's just full of bullshit all the time and boasts about getting loads of women when he doesn't really, and thinks he's gonna meet this like supermodel at the bar, and someone who isn't necessarily his type aesthetically maybe shows up, and then he's actually like, you know what, you're kind of cool, I kind of like you. So for me, I thought this was a bit of a babyface moment. I thought they all came across really well here.
Now, am I wrong? Do we go back to the bar, or was this the last bar segment? This was the last. There was only two, right? Okay,
this is the last bar segment. Yeah.
So then they walk out of the bar, and Jackson Drake kind of looks over at them like, hey, she's pretty cool. And they're like, hey, you know what? She's all right. So maybe Vanity Project have found another person to join their group. Blake, Micah, and Vanity Project. Yeah, I mean,
she'd be great muscle for them, right?
Yeah. I totally did not see that coming. Like, we've been designed. It's wrestling, and these guys are the heels that they're going to
be like, cruel to this.
Yeah, they're going to be awful and everything. And then it was just totally like, oh wait, no. And I think that made it a bit more funny, a bit more like, oh wait a second, they're going a whole different direction.
Yeah,
that these guys are like, oh no, we love her. That she's like, her personality and her past of talking about dead people, and then being all buff and muscly. So, like, she is a striking person. Like the look of this person. I know that she's been signed for a little bit, and she's
Michael Lockwood.
Yeah, Lockwood, and she's been in like LFG and stuff like that. So I have been aware of her, but she's like really jacked. Like, she looks like she'll fuck some
I know
up.
she's got a condition that it's like a hormonal thing, which
like a giantism kind of thing.
I think so. Yeah, it's something like that. I do remember seeing her on LFG. And she must be a big Crash Holly fan as well. Because Mike Lockwood was the name of Crash Holly.
Oh,
she's going by Micah Lockwood. So I don't know if there's any sort of connection there or anything, but
so far, like, again, I do love the Vanity Project guys, and now bringing in this character this way was a little out of left field, but I'm like, okay, I liked it. Let's see where it goes.
I mean, you could even have this thing like be as a way for Micah to feud with Blake. And you could almost have this thing where Drake thanks Shiloh for fake setting him up, because kind of got them both together, and it could somewhat babyface them a little bit, maybe.
Okay, well, now Jackson Drake has someone who can fight Tatum, right? Like,
yeah,
like so Shiloh, so we thought Shiloh and Tatum wedding was coming soon. Get ready.
Yeah,
the Lockwood wedding coming soon.
We had Lexis King interviewed backstage by Sarah Schreiber, who says, it was questionable how you won tonight. And he says, it wasn't questionable at all. I was born to do this. I'm the biggest star to challenge for this. And all of us will have gold around our waist, because that is our birthright. EK Prosper shows up and says he wants a rematch. And DVD, Dorian Van Dukes, says they won't fight fair, but you can team with me against them. So I don't know what version of the birthright we'll be getting, but Prosper and Dukes against two members of birthright next week, which should be pretty good, actually, considering these guys involved.
Yeah, like what we've seen from this Dukes dude is already like Awesome. So I hope we are in for a great match. Who would you want it to be? Uriah and Charlie?
Yeah,
King
probably.
King already wrestled, like has
Yeah.
this belt, so I don't know if you would put him in there.
Yeah, Uriah and Charlie would be good.
Yeah,
That'd be a good
that'd be
match.
pretty good. Yeah, I like this Duke's good. This Duke's guy. Again, I said it last week where like I am a big fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme and Bloodsport. So if I can just pretend that this guy is that character, then fuck it, I will. But yeah, so far so good.
We see Lola Vice with Robert Stone, and Lola says that she has to even the odds against the Cooling, she called them, and she knows exactly who. And before we move on, who's she talking about? Who's going to help her even the odds against the Cooling?
So who's been friendly with her? Like Tatum has been someone who's feuding with them, but we moved on. So
I mean, I assume it's two guys, right? Like for
to fight those two.
Yeah.
Mr. Iguana and
Psycho Clown. There we
Psycho
go.
Clown. Yeah, probably.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I guess. Not? There's also OTM, right?
Okay.
Lola was I think she was dating one of those guys.
She was. I think she's with Priest now, right?
Oh, I see the chat now. Everyone's saying OTM. Yeah, I guess that is the pairing. But
okay. All right.
Okay.
We then hear a noise and we go to the office where we see Ricky Saints is beating the shit out of Shiloh Hill. And Stone says, "What are you doing? I've already given you the match for next week." And Ricky kind of just smirks and walks off.
Again, that's what it made me to believe, like, hey, maybe there's something to this, that we get some sort of big grudge match, revenge match where maybe Ricky does go away from NXT as well. But
okay,
maybe I'm looking into that too much. But yeah.
We then have Schreiber who wants an update on Shiloh Hill, and Stone says he's going into medical now when Stone walks into your NXT champion, Tony D'Angelo, who had next to nothing to do on this show, but is handed a gift with a symbol on it. A Japanese, was this Chinese?
Japanese. Yeah.
And Keanu Carver walks past and he's asked, is that from you? He goes, if I wanted something, I take it. But that there is the symbol of war. And this place is full of sharks, so you better be ready. And Stone says he's not wrong. Ever since you've been champion, my phone has been blowing up. So who sent this parcel?
Yeah, is it a symbol of war or is it a symbol of evil?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Will that be his name? Just War?
Just War? Oh, no. No, they can't do that. Could they? Could.
Yeah.
They could just call him evil. I don't know. Everything is war. Doesn't have the quite same. Everything is evil. I don't know. It's probably him, right?
Okay.
Right? There's been all the buzz about him.
What's it? Takaki Watanabe is his real name. War Watanabe. There you go.
Watanabe? What? This guy was using such a dumbass name, and he could have had anyways. I'm not the biggest fan of that guy, but maybe him coming in here could be something good. I don't know.
Well, we've been saying that the men's division needs a boost. I don't think Evil's a terrible wrestler. It's the whole gimmick was awful. The whole House of Torture was awful. I think he showed on his way out, his match with Aaron Wolf, that he pulled something out of that guy, and that was one of the more entertaining things at Wrestle Kingdom this year.
That was Wrestle Kingdom, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm, a new look of paint, a new setting. I'm at least interested to see what Evil can do here. He's never going to be one of my favorite wrestlers, but we do need some different men in this division at the top. So I don't hate that idea. See Sino in the chat. Hello, Sino, who's saying it's Evil, Hiromu, and Sanada.
I was about to say,
all three
wasn't there a whole bunch of dudes left New Japan, right? So there is an opportunity that it could be not just Evil, it could be some of the other people that have whether or not they've dabbled with Noah and whatnot. But yeah, I would imagine this is the first steps to seeing him come in. But interesting to give it to the NXT champion. Basically, maybe we're getting Evil as NXT champion.
Well, the talk is that they wanted him on the main roster and he requested to do NXT first.
Right.
Is what was being said. So maybe if he is doing NXT, it's not going to be a long run. So going right for the title right away could make sense.
Yeah. Well, I hated Evil in New Japan, but that was part of his gimmick, so I don't know.
Yeah. We go to our main event of the evening. It's a last woman standing match. Zaria taking on Sol Ruca. I did like how they continued this last night on Raw. They even did it in a way where you could potentially pull this whole feud up to Raw if you wanted to, which we've talked about them doing before. We talked about with like Trick and Mello. They've never really done it, but it would be interesting to see if they could do it at some point and just call up an entire feud. But we're going Zaria, Sol Ruca, last woman standing, and Sol comes out first. Zaria's music hits, and Sol's waiting for her to show up, but Zaria comes from behind, tries to cheap attack Sol, but Sol has scouted it. We get a springboard corkscrew cross body to the floor from Ruca.
That was nice. That was real nice.
Looked real good. Zaria then gets the production cables and starts choking Sol with it, wrapping it around her mouth and just dragging her around. A kendo stick comes into play, of course. So Sol starts lighting up Zaria with the kendo stick. And then they set up a table on ringside, and Sol is teasing a powerbomb through the table, but Zaria slips out of it. Zaria attempts the F5, but Sol escapes. And then it is Sol who hits a spear on Zaria through the perch. And they're both down. And
I'm so sick of that
you're
spot.
about to say that they go through paper and
it looks like that. It literally looks like you're going through paper, through the wall. I know it's wrestling. I know it's WWE. Like WWE, the main roster equivalent is the guardrail spot, right? Or the barricade spot. And this is basically what we have. It's just, imagine one guy's job every Wednesday morning is to put a new piece of paper right over top it, a little bit of paint over top it for another wrestler to go through. He's like, God damn it, I keep fixing this thing. Well, maybe you shouldn't use paper.
I mean, if you used anything stronger, you're going to get a lot of injuries in NXT because they love fighting by this guy. One day it's just concrete and they just break their neck. Like,
that would be a great spot if, like, finally a heel or someone was smart enough to be like, yo, I'm going to do some Looney Tunes shit and put an Acme giant weight.
Like Takeshi's Castle, you know, where they run through the doors, but one of them's a brick wall.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh my God, that would be genius. Where it's like, whoa, like if it was Raw or SmackDown, where it's like, whoa, wait, you're saying an opponent of Brock Lesnar's actually like reinforced the barricade over there because you knew he was gonna put you through it? Wow. See the little things. Shawn Michaels, take note.
Both get to their feet on the 8 count and like fall straight back down to the mat. They're then fighting on the barricade, and Zaria hits an F5 off the barricade through the announce table. The ref starts to count, and Sol just gets to her feet on 9 and hits a running knee strike, and both are down. The ref starts to count again. Sol gets to her feet, sets up a table, but while she's taking time to set up the table, it gives Zaria enough time to get on her feet and take out Sol, and she sets up a second table. Sol then sets Zaria up on the table and climbs the perch. And it looks like she's going to jump on top of Zaria, but Zaria's disappeared. And we see a wild Zaria emerge from behind. She goes for the spear off the perch, but Sol leapfrogs her. Zaria just stops herself from falling and gets hit with a Soul Snatcher on top of the perch.
That was pretty cool. Like you kind of almost didn't see what she was doing it off.
It was like off the little railing bit that's on the perch, wasn't it? She leapt off of.
Very scary considering they're both very high up on this thing. But yeah, didn't see that Soul Snatcher coming. That looked cool.
Zaria gets up on 9. They start trading punches. They start fighting as they're getting closer and closer to the edge. And they look down at the tables and they start crying. They realize, what has our friendship come to? Why are we doing this? Why are we fighting on this cliff edge about to plummet to our certain deaths? And they're crying and they hug. It's like, let's just call everything off. Let's just hug. Let's go home. Zaruka forever. And you see Zaria's face turn. She's still super mean. And she pushes Sol off the perch. Soul goes crashing through the first table and her head just bounces off the second one.
Ouch. Again, I hope she's all right. That looked pretty nasty. Remember when like Spike Dudley, that happened to him?
Yeah.
Probably a few times. But oh man, I hope Soul is okay, especially with this like being called up and everything. Like this is okay, you're falling from a what is that? Remember, this is the Vince McMahon showing Gronk spot.
Yeah, it's probably what, 10 feet, 9 feet, something like that.
10 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
They said it's 15. I don't know if it's necessarily that, but it's still
15's a cage. Like I don't know about that, but yeah.
So this was fun, and then the finish was just a little too overacting, I thought. Like you had them fighting through early through the match, they were fighting through the crowd. And then you could just like, at least I noticed that all of a sudden half the crowd was plants. Like they're all like really good looking athletic people. And I'm like, wait a second, these are not the fans. These are like plants. So I was imagining some sort of big like move happen into the crowd, and that didn't happen. And then they went through to the commentary desk, and I thought the F5 was cool. And then you set up and you tease. Is it like the Chekhov's gun thing? Not only just the table, but you tease that Soul is going to do something crazy by like what, a 450 off the perch or something. You're teasing that. And then Zaria is up there. It's like, okay, that's not going to happen. And then you get the Soul Snatcher, and then you have Zaria who's about to fall, and Soul grabs her. And it's very Mufasa, long live the king, right? Where you think she's about to do that, and then she does it. And then it just went into that hokey thing where it's like, oh no, actually we shouldn't fight. We should be friends. And unfortunately, I don't think either of them are at that level of acting to really convey that. And like what I thought was a pretty fun little match really soured me on this stupid overused finish in wrestling of like, no, wait, we should actually be friends. And then no, actually we're not.
It wasn't even I'm sorry, I love you. Like which I hate at this point. Like it was Sean and Rick was great, but every time since I've kind of hated it. But at least that would have made a bit more sense if there's like, you know, we've come to this point, but I still need to win this match. You know, it was so hokey, and I was laughing like in the finish.
Yeah, it really ruined it for me.
Which was a shame. I thought it was a pretty fun match for like an NXT Last Woman Standing. Like there was some cool spots in it. The Soul Snatcher on top of the perch was cool. But
you're teasing that move, right? You tease twice that two things are going to happen, and then it's ultimately just Soul doing the backwards bump that we've seen. So I felt like not only did I feel it was hokey with the overacting and everything, but I felt like I was robbed of seeing something other than the same perch spot over and over. And then on top of that, because they were like so zoomed in on that perch, I guess the camera guy up there, the ref was up there with them, and you could hear the ref because the camera's like right in his face. You could hear him giving them cues. Okay, slow down. You got time. You got time. I was like, I can't even hear Zaria and Soul, what they're saying, if they were saying anything. All I can hear is this ref who's over the top. Like, okay, wait, no, you got time. And then he like looks and listens to his ear. Oh, okay, wait, no, okay, now do it now. Go, go, go. And then they go. So I was like, oh man, like totally botched finish, I thought. Again, a fine match, and it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Definitely not even the worst thing I've seen in the last few days of WrestleMania. But like, it was going good, and then you really,
I find like I know it's okay. It's unfair to compare an NXT match to the main event of WrestleMania. That's unfair. But I said something on the WrestleMania review where I think people confuse storytelling for this. And this is spelling out to the audience what the story is. Whereas you can just let your actions in the body of a wrestling match tell the story, right? And like, that's what I loved about the main event of WrestleMania was it was this story of how much fight does Punk at this stage in his career have in him? And the answer was a lot, but not enough against Roman Reigns. And his body eventually let him down at the end. And Roman wins.
Look strong.
Whereas this, it's like, right, we really have to look down that camera lens and tell them what the story is. And it just takes me right out of it. It's so hokey. And you're right, like neither of these two are particularly strong performers when it comes to the acting or whatever. I think Zaria does have a presence when she's like a beast in the ring, and Zaria, obviously her like fan favorite style and all that works and gets across. Their acting isn't strong, and to have that be the climax of the match was like laughable and really took me out of everything they'd done beforehand, because I thought the rest of the match was pretty strong.
Like, I feel like you could have had Zaria just absolutely destroy her at the end. Instead, it was just a falling back kind of thing. And I don't know. I didn't hate it, but then the finish really ruined it.
Like, you could even something, if you want to do that kind of thing, just have Zaria be like, I'm sorry, but I need this, and just shove her off. You know, like, I don't know. Like, it was a bad end. But overall, I quite liked this episode. I thought this was a strong episode, actually. It felt like there was some fresh stuff. We've got the introduction of a few new characters. We've got, people moving up, which means people are stepping up into different positions. I agree with you. I really enjoyed that casket match. I thought that was a lot of fun, and loved all the Vanity Project stuff we had going on.
It was a refreshing episode. Like, okay, we still have some of our silly NXT tropes, like going to a bar or doing silly dating things.
Hey, that was the best thing on the show.
I mean, it was probably one of my favorites, but I just feel like it still is NXT. There's still the stuff that we don't like, but this week felt a step in the right direction of like some new stuff. Yes, people are leaving. Yes, we've lost some of our keynote people here. Ethan Page gone, Joe Hendry leaving. Like, we're losing some of our main characters. So it is a time for people to be shuffled into the mix and step up. So I always do like that. And it can be bad, but this week I felt like there was actually some steps in the right direction. So I love the Vanity Project. We'll continue to see those guys need to be the stars of NXT in the new season coming up, because like they're great. So that's something I want them to have that what's her name again? Micah, the muscle, like with them, and maybe Blake. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Chat is questioning if we think Fallon and Lainey will move up with JC or just JC on her own.
Yeah, like I want JC to move up, but I don't know. Like, is there more we could get out of Fallon on here? She hasn't been used the best in NXT in the last few years, and maybe this is a reset for her. I'm not sure.
I'd like
to see it.
I'd like to see Fallon move up with JC. I think we
as a tag team, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say we only had Paige and Brie in the crowd on Raw yesterday, so I imagine they're going to be more SmackDown featured people. Maybe that's how you can call them up. Maybe you can have them do their celebration promo, and Fallon and JC are the ones to interrupt them.
Yeah, I would say that makes a whole lot of sense. Fallon is like, she didn't get to be NXT Women's Champion NXT and all that, but like, still think she's ready to be on the main roster. Like, she's been good. She's been hidden away in NXT the last little while. Like, we were really big fans of her a few years ago, and yeah, she's been put in this like position of being the lackey essentially, when I think she's a lot more than that. So maybe we'll see if that's the case. We
have one piece of feedback on the Poison Rana Facebook group. If you aren't a member and you do have access to Facebook, what are you waiting for? Come on, join us. Just search Poison Rana, look for the frog, follow it along, and join our little group where people are sharing. There are people sharing their pictures from WrestleMania who attended this week. There's a lot going on in there. And we go to Magan, who says, Sol Ruca had her final sunset. The last woman standing match was exactly as advertised. That scary spot notwithstanding, Zaria got the match she needed to be taken seriously going forward. And with Sol's trip to Sin City the other night, the Wave Rider is going to be just fine. Carver sent Hendry to the upper room. Tatum sent Blake to her grave, as it all adds up to a needed hard reset for NXT. I'm looking forward to Lizzie Rain shredding up her debut. And who was that Japanese box belonging to? The Chronicle series is doing a good job of fleshing out Kendall Gray's personality. It'll bode well to connect to audiences fast. Overall, a strong 2-week special.
NXT Revenge. Thank you, Megan. Appreciate you writing in. I appreciate everyone in the chat here tonight on a Tuesday night with NXT Revenge. Appreciate everyone out there. We do this every Tuesday here at Post Wrestling, right after NXT, 10:05 p.m. We go live on the Post Wrestling YouTube right here, and we talk all about it. But if you're listening audio version, we love you too. Appreciate you too. And you want to hear more of us, search Poison Rana Pod in your Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Check out our big WrestleMania show. We talked for over 2 hours, all about WrestleMania week and everything that we liked and didn't like. Plus, we were at AEW Dynasty last weekend. We did a review right after attending the show in Vancouver. You can hear that both on the free feed. But if you want to hear even more, patreon.com/PoisonRana. We have so many podcasts, wrestling reviews, movie reviews, NXT, all the stuff is there. It's only $5, and it's what keeps this podcast going. WrestleMania time is when we started doing this. We have been podcasting. We've been doing upNXT for 8 years.
I think it's whether 8,
I hope so. Anyone who's been here since day one or who has joined in even as of recent, thank you for joining us on this ride. And you can support us by checking out our Patreon and even hitting 5-star likes on all the other stuff. It goes a long way. But hope everyone had a happy WrestleMania, the wrestling, bringing us all together. Appreciate everyone out there listening as always. And you'll be live this Sunday on our Poisonrana free feed with Benno from GRAPPL talking all about the WrestleMania fallout and whatever's going on with Dynamite, Double or Nothing. We got Takeshita Okada finally announced.
We do.
Every day since they've announced it, Davie and I message each other different flights. Like we could go. So we are.
Maybe if either of us have checked out any of the Hogan documentary, which drops tomorrow, we might talk a little bit about that as well. It's dropping tonight, right? Yeah. So yeah, it'll be fun.
I do actually want
to watch. Absolutely. Like we cover wrestling. Of course we're going to watch the Hogan documentary. Yeah. I was fortunate to hang out with Benno just recently in Vietnam. So it'll be fun talking to him. I'm sure we'll touch a little bit on that and talk all about
food poisoning,
the fallout. I think it was tequila poisoning, and he definitely had it worse than I did. Yes,
tequila poisoning. Yeah.
We'll talk all about that this Sunday at noon, 12 Eastern on the Poisonrana YouTube channel. Go give us a like and subscribe. But that's it from us today. Thank you very much. We'll chat to you soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Postmarks. Thank you, NXT friends. Thank you, Poison Pals. That is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye and be safe.
Ahoy!